Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, a federal bill is introduced that will privatize ATC, PK Floats is getting back to business, Avidyne reduces costs with an a la carte approach. I'm Bree Cross, it's February 4th, 2016, and this is Airborne Unlimited. Transportation and Infrastructure Committee Chairman Bill Shuster and Aviation Subcommittee Chairman Frank LoBiondo introduced the Aviation Innovation, Reform, and Reauthorization legislation. This legislation establishes a non-governmental, independent, not-for-profit corporation to modernize and provide U.S. air traffic control services. The act is a 6-year reauthorization of the FAA and proposes a federally chartered air traffic control corporation that will be governed by a board representing the aviation system's users and public interest. In a written statement, both Shuster and LoBiondo concluded that the legislation recognizes that maintaining the status quo will result in more setbacks and soaring costs of failed federal ATC modernization efforts. They say the FAA is a bureaucracy that continues to stifle American innovation and is a system that is incapable of handling growing demand. The statement also pointed out that establishing an independent ATC provider has become the standard across the world, and the United States is one of the last industrialized nations yet to do so. Here's some good news for our Fly and Splash aviator friends. PK Floats is back in the business of building floats for aircraft. The company had closed 3 years ago after the death of the owner, Alton Bouchard. According to the company website, it was purchased in 2015 by SR Aviation. This purchase, coupled with a substantial investment in the Lincoln, Maine facility, breathed new life back into the company, which restarted production in the fall of last year. The company is now under the leadership of company president Patrick McGowan. It's reported that FAA certification came on January 14th and that PK Floats has already built or sold half of the 20 sets of floats it had targeted for 2016. It is also planning to expand its product line to include skis and floats for 2 additional airplane types, according to McGowan. McGowan said he wants to continue to grow but is going slow. After the break, Avidyne provides cost choices.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
Welcome back. If you have a story suggestion for Airborne Unlimited, Aero-TV, our website or podcast, just email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Avidyne has announced they are offering a new lower-priced IFD440 FMS GPS Navcom starting at $12,399, including mounting tray and installation kit. The new entry-level IFD440 pricing option allows customers to operate the system as is, or to add wireless and/or forward-looking terrain alerting as individual add-on features for an additional charge should they choose to do so. Avidyne's Tom Harper says, quote, "While many customers will opt for having all functionality enabled, this new IFD440 pricing makes it much easier for customers to do apples-to-apples price comparisons with competitive systems that do not have these performance-enhancing extra features." Harper also said this a la carte approach will allow customers who are buying multiple IFD440 units or an IFD540 and IFD440 to reduce their overall cost by only having the added functionality in one unit if they choose. Thursday is normally our day to talk about what we at ANN call our Aero community. Today we are expanding this term to mean the entire community of aviation as we review the importance of the Let Bob Fly campaign and introduce the Let Bob Fly Founders Fundraising Appeal. The Let Bob Fly campaign was originally started after the renowned aviator Bob Hoover was unjustly grounded by the FAA in 1992. The resulting Let Bob Fly campaign, led by ANN CEO and Editor-in-Chief Jim Campbell, was a linchpin in a chain of events that eventually allowed Hoover back into the air in the United States. Bob Hoover returned back to the air, but his present concern is that what happened to him could still happen to other pilots today. Jim Campbell responded to his concerns by initiating a renewed Let Bob Fly campaign that will produce a documentary about what happened then and how those lessons can be applied to today. Tan Staffel is the documentary arm of the Aero-News network, and to get the project started has established the Let Bob Fly Founders Fundraising Appeal. These Founders programs are only the tip of the iceberg as it relates to the entire project. For more information about how you can participate in this important campaign, visit www.letbobfly.net. After these messages, Jackie Chan takes delivery of second Embraer bizjet.
Concorde's recombinant gas RG series sealed battery technology produces a high-performance battery with the advantages of being pre-tested and fully charged at the factory. Find out more about Concorde's entire line of batteries at www.concordebattery.com. Concorde, the heart of your aircraft.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip. With integral backup battery, safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. Jackie Chan, the movie star, has become the first customer in China to take delivery of a Legacy 500. Jackie Chan's connection with Embraer executive jets dates to 2012 when he received a Legacy 650 and became Embraer's brand ambassador. A lawmaker in Arizona has reintroduced legislation to exempt crop dusters and charter aircraft operators from sales taxes in the state. A similar bill last year that was vetoed by the governor, but it's reported this bill is written in consort with the governor. Hartzell Propeller says they have strengthened their leadership in turboprop propellers. Their multi-year, multi-million-dollar investment has resulted in the rollout of several new 5-blade structural composite propellers and a campaign to identify fleets of turboprops for 5-blade propeller upgrade. Air Transat pilots have authorized a legal strike pursuant to Canadian labor law. The authorization comes after a year of negotiations for a new pilot contract that follows the expiration of the current collective agreement on April 30th, 2015. An STC has been granted to Rockwell Collins for its ProLine Fusion avionics upgrade for King Air 350s, originally delivered with ProLine 2 avionics. The STC was achieved as a collaborative effort with Landmark Aviation, Winston-Salem, and BHE and Associates. Well, that's the trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. Roger Boisjoly, the engineer who tried to convince NASA to postpone the January 28, 1986 launch of the Space Shuttle Challenger that resulted in the loss of the spacecraft and 7 astronauts, has gone west at the age of 73. The Los Angeles Times reports that he began warning of a possible O-ring failure in cold weather as early as 1985. He and 4 other engineers reportedly argued prior to the flight that the launch should not take place. However, NASA's senior engineers told Boisjoly and his colleagues that they had failed to make their case, and the launch proceeded as scheduled. Boisjoly was said to be so sure of what was about to happen that he reportedly could not watch the launch. He told the LA Times in a 2003 interview that NASA had tried to blackball him from the industry for his actions, and he spent the remainder of his career as a forensic engineer and lecturer on engineering ethics. Well, that's our program for today. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily Monday through Friday with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. Please join us and a growing roster of over 100 outstanding industry associations and organizations every weekday for the best in aviation and aerospace news from the staff of the Aero-News Network, the aviation world's most comprehensive news and information resource.